right, guys, this is this one. So I think it's number 9, and there's only a couple of tricky things in here. I would say that there's a couple ways to practice to build up your tempo. So if you can play it from start to finish at a slow tempo, it's really not too difficult to get a little faster. You may have heard of Morse code practice, and so that's where you would set your metronome at the tempo that you are working at right now, and you would do like long, short, long, short. So for example, if measure 9 and 10 were tricking me up, I could do, and then if it was, and then you flip it, so then you do short, long, short, long. So those are some ways. You can also do 3 shorts and a long, or 1 long and 3 shorts. So those would sound like this. So you can do each measure that way, or each little grouping of 4 notes if that's what's giving you a little bit of troubles. Other things that are of note, haha, pun intended, is in measure 9, 10, 11, 12, there's an F sharp on the C string. And then again, it comes back in 22 and 24. I think those are the only ones. There's 2 ways to play them. Traditionally, we would do an extension, a forward extension. So remember, you can't just play 4 fingers on the C string. That's an F natural, so that's a wrong note. So what you want to do is you want to extend forward for that F sharp. And when you extend forward, your thumb comes too. Now, I have small hands, and extensions are my least favorite thing on the cello. I actually play on a 7/8 cello, so that extensions are even possible for my tiny child hands. But what I wanted to keep in mind was I realized that I was doing this when I was playing on a full-size instrument, and my cello professor was getting quite upset with me because I was doing this, but I realized that it's not a bad thing at all. My bass friends do it all the time, and that's called a pivot. So it's just like how you think in basketball, how you can have one foot on the ground, you have the ball, and you can move the other foot around. So for a pivot, you actually keep your thumb in place, and your whole hand does that half-step shift. So it's like I'm going to second position to get that. So I'll try to show you whatever naturally happens, because I'm going to be playing it at tempo. And I noticed when I was practicing this for you that I did do the pivot more than I stayed in extension. Because it doesn't need an extension for any of the notes before or after it. If it stayed in place, that would make more sense to go to extension. Okay, the last little bit of note would be at measure 20, is that it does have, I should say there's 2 more things. Measure 20, it does skip, so be careful that it goes from C to A at the end of that measure. I know naturally we've been just looking at the scale passages up and down and up and down. Okay, now the last little tidbit of help is that as you are seeing that you have to cross strings and stuff, you can have your fingers be like little, I call them spider legs, that they cross over to the strings to get ready for the next note. So you have to be reading ahead. You have to be making sure that you're thinking about the next note. Sometimes it has the brackety thingies, which means you're going to keep your fingers down. So like I said in measure 1 and 2, it has the bracket from G to G. So you keep this down. You keep your G down when you play your A. So you don't have to worry about picking it up and trying to find it again. It's just unnecessary. I know probably when you were beginners way back when, your teacher probably talked about, at least what I talk about, is hovering like little helicopters. Now we have drones, and you know how a drone like lifts and lands and lowers, right? More so than a helicopter. It's really, really small movements. So that's what we want to try to do with our fingers so that we can play faster. All right, I am using my Korg metronome, and it doesn't have 90. It has 88 or 92. I should probably flip a coin and see which one I'm going to do. But I went ahead and went with 92 for the faster one, because let's face it, faster is always fun. Okay, so I'm going to get this up to 92. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and... hopefully my fingers were doing great at being spiders. I did notice I did the pivot while I was playing, so my thumb stayed in place and I did like a little mini shift. But my thumb kept back, so I wasn't doing a full shift. So whichever works for you that's in tune is what I would recommend. Definitely take a minute to check with your tuner and make sure that that F sharp on the C string is really rocking it and really in tune. Remember that you're going to have C naturals and F sharps in this piece because we're in G major, just like the last one. Interesting thought there. All right, I'll see you in the next video.